Yes, sir. You already know what time it is. You already know what's going on. I'm your host, Cam Silver,
I am your co-host Kyle Silver.
and welcome back to another episode of the Silver Boys Podcast. Man,
Hey,
Kyle, we are finally here.
hey,
We are finally
hey.
here. Oh,
Yo, I couldn't wait for this day, man. I could not wait. I could not wait.
man, been looking forward to this for a while now, and we are finally here. But before we talk about everything that's going on in the college atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
let's start off with what's going on still in the NFL. Now, trades and everything like that are obviously still going on, and just a couple of signings have happened. So the Giants signed Darnell Mooney. They're getting
Yeah,
more wide receiver help. They've also signed guys like Calvin Austin III as well to a 1 year deal. So that's good for them. You have the Eagles signing Damian Pierce. They also signed Hollywood Brown too as well. So that's a pretty big pickup for them. The Steelers signed Sebastian Joseph Day to a 2 year, $11 million deal, which he's going to get $6 million for that first year. So that's big. And then a couple of trades happened. So the Jets trade Justin Fields to the Chiefs for a 2027 6th round pick. Other teams were interested, but Fields insisted that he wanted to go to Kansas City.
yeah, definitely. I wasn't somewhere I was expecting him to go, but I'm glad he insisted on going there. I think that's a great organization for him to be in. He'll be behind Patrick Mahomes. Patrick's just coming off an injury to himself, so that'll be big to see how he plays coming back. Justin Fields just got to fight for his spot, and that's really what it comes down to. It's just another team you got to make a name on.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's good for Justin because over for like training camp and things of that nature,
Mm-hmm.
springtime and summertime. I think he could really make a name for himself, like you said. I believe that he can come in and then, like, virtually, I guess, be like QB1 until Patrick
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes is able to get himself together. And I think he could hold it down for a little bit for him once, and then like once we see Pat, who's still, if I'm not mistaken, still trending to be the Week 1 starter. Once we
Mm-hmm.
see Pat, then it should be good to go from there. But I think Justin can learn a lot from Pat, from Eric Bieniemy, from Coach Andy Reid as well. So I think
Yeah.
it's a good stop for him to refocus back in, lock in, and then just be behind an organization that is going to be standing along with him.
Hey, I'm just happy he's out of football purgatory. You know how I feel about them Jets, dog.
Hey,
you
I
know,
know. In the swamp, as they call it up there
in
in
the
the Middleland.
swamp full of crocodiles and alligators and whatnot. Yo.
The Dolphins trade Jaylen Waddle and a 4th round pick to the Broncos for a 1st round pick, which will be a 30th overall, and a 3rd and 4th round picks, which will both be 30th overalls in those respective rounds in this year's draft.
Yeah,
So
you could tell Miami's just blowing up everything at this point, and which they have to. They tried and it hasn't worked. So I'm glad to see Jalen Waddle get out of there, get somewhere where he can, you know what I mean, go and go do what he got to do.
yeah, yeah, most definitely. Happy to see him with a team that is definitely going to be vying for championship status, whether in the conference or in the big game itself. So that's going to be good for him. Good for him to showcase more of his talents to the rest of the world too. For those who may have fell off with the Dolphins, especially earlier on. And he's also a really good deep threat for Bo Nix because Bo Nix was not that great at the at throwing the deep ball this past
Hmm.
season. So I think that Jalen Waddle is one of those guys who can really create separation and be able to help out with that Broncos offense for sure.
Yeah, great way to put it. Great way to put it.
But moving on to basketball, we had something serious happen where Thursday, we learned that Cade Cunningham will be out for an extended period of time with a collapsed lung. It's considered to be mild, so and also he did not break a rib, so that's a good thing.
Hmm.
So as of right now, like I said, it's a extended period of time, but as of right now, from what I'm hearing, is that they could reevaluate him within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, so that's actually really good. That's not too much time being missed. But it's I think it's giving him a little bit of cushion to be able to get himself together before the playoffs. And then when the playoffs come, maybe I really do hope that he'll be okay. Um, and he'll just be out there able to compete. Maybe if he, or he could just miss the first round against the Knicks. If they, I'll be happy with that. Whatever. I know they're not going to play in the first round, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying here. But nah. Prayers to Cade. I really hope he's all right. Class long ain't nothing to play with, but we'll see how we'll reevaluate him ourselves in 2 weeks and see what's going on with that team and whatnot.
Yeah, most definitely. Detroit is just 4 games ahead of the Celtics and 5.5 games ahead of the Knicks and that number one
Mhm.
spot. And so these next couple of weeks will be very, very crucial for all three of those teams to try to see if they
Especially
can.
Boston.
Yeah, yeah, who just, like you said, just got Jason Tatum back, who's playing very well. Right
Very.
now, he's looking really good right now for those who have not been able to catch him in a game. So it's gonna test a lot for Detroit. I think it's also gonna test to see who's gonna be that number two guy next to Cade because
Yeah.
Cade has shouldered so much of the load. And with Cade being out, this could be a blessing in disguise for Detroit to reveal who they really are without him and seeing who the next guy is that's going to be able to step up alongside him once the playoffs start.
That's a great observation because Kate needs that number two star, especially when the defense will be so focused on you in a 7 game series. You're gonna need somebody else to be able to handle that rock and take that pressure off of him and off of just the entire team. I'm interested to see how they'll look defensively as well too. Will they have that same uptick? Will they have that same drive and fire? I think that'll be important just to see and make sure that they don't hit a lull as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna be a very interesting next couple of weeks. The playoffs starting literally in less than a month.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm
Uh-huh.
I'm I'm very interested to see how everybody, not just Detroit, but everybody else, especially in the East, reacts to this.
Yes. Yeah.
Is there, no, is there blood in the water? Do the Sharks really smell blood in the water? And can they actually cut down on that lead that Detroit has over the rest of the East?
Yeah. I don't see why the Celtics wouldn't or slash couldn't for real. Just because of how Jason Tatum is looking in, and you still got a month before the playoffs start, so you still have time to go on a run and still and still get that number one seed. Honestly,
Shoot, even the Knicks, they have over the next couple of games, they have the Nets, the Wizards, the Pelicans, and the Hornets.
oh yeah, it comes like these are those should be 50-point blowouts each of them.
And, I just named off how many teams I just named off. I just named off 4 teams, and like I said, they're
Yeah.
5.5 games back. So if they could capitalize on those games and make that race tighter for all three of those teams,
hmm
may the best man win at that point, right?
Yeah. Literally.
Wow, NBA playoffs is almost here. That's exciting.
Yo, I love to see that. I love me a first round. I love me that first round. Ball on every day, every other day for real.
Oh, another one. Shout out to Luka Doncic. He has
Mm,
been a man on a mission. The Lakers are on if I'm not mistaken, an 8 game win streak right now. Luka Doncic in this last game against the Heat just put up 60 points and 7 boards. He was 18 for 30 from the field, 9 for 17 from three.
yeah, that's crazy. Now
And
that's an
then
in the flow game, and you know what I'm saying. That boy was hitting them things.
and then you have LeBron. LeBron had 19 points, 15 boards, and 10 assists.
Hey, even at 40, still getting it done. 8 game winning streak is not nothing to be taken lightly whatsoever.
Mm-mm. They fought their way from being at the edge of the play-in to now in the third seed, and they have a tiebreaker over Minnesota, Houston, and Denver, who are all right beneath them, which is huge. So just in case, you know, catastrophe happens and they're all tied up, Lakers will still take the number 3 seed regardless.
Yeah, and that's big because we were critical of their defense. Early in the season, they hit a little bit of a lull. I thought in the middle of the season, I wasn't really sure what that team would be, what was their identity. Um, a lot of flack was going around DeAndre Ayton and whatnot, but for them to be on an 8 game win streak shows something is clicking on all cylinders in that squad for real.
Yeah. A
especially
quote,
at this point in the season as well.
yeah, something that I read from DeAndre Ayton was that he took the blame for the reason why they weren't winning as many games. So he took that upon himself, and actually he's been elevating his play.
I mean, as he should, as he should. You know, that team can go really far, and it is dependent upon DeAndre Ayton and how he plays night in and night out, and he has to show up, and he really has. So you got to give props for props to do, you know.
Yeah, most definitely. And shoot, the game before that, Luka Doncic had 40 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists. You know what I mean? Like they're a cohesive unit. And then Braun had 30 points, bro. He was 13 for 14 from the field.
Yeah, like that's disgusting. Efficiently, that boy getting it done.
That's what makes this a lot more scary is the fact that
Mhm.
Braun is efficient and he doesn't have the ball in his hands as much. You have a legitimate dominant scorer and
Mhm.
closer in Luka Doncic, and then you have somebody else who on Austin Reeves who can also facilitate and fill in the gaps when he needs to.
Carry if he needs to. Yeah,
Yeah. And then after that, you let the rest of the team mainly focus on the defensive end. And then, when they're wide open for whatever shot, like a Marcus Smart, he's wide open for threes and he's knocking down his threes now. DeAndre Ayton is a lot more involved and he's a lot more aggressive in the paint now. So yeah, this Laker team, I don't know how far they're gonna go, but what I can say is that this is a team I don't think a lot of people want to see right now.
not at all. I mean, we know how Luka get in the playoffs too, dude, that man just happens to go ballistic as soon as April starts for real. You know, and
Something in
like
the air.
if he could end up knocking off Minnesota, he can end up knocking off like
Denver.
Denver. Yeah, like he really can. Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's just one of those ones where something just happens, the air's just different in April.
Mm-hmm.
But that
I
but
know he's
that's
gonna put on in the playoffs. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, so this is. I'm definitely going to be watching out for the Lakers because you're right. A lot of teams aren't gonna want to see them.
yeah, that's an attest to his greatness.
And shout out JJ. Shout out JJ Redick
He,
for real.
he's yeah,
That
he's figuring it
he
out.
coaching.
He's figuring it out. He's figuring it out. So much love to JJ right now.
Yeah.
Mu-
That's one dude I want to see wins, and I'm
Big
not
time.
apologetic about that at all.
Never, never. Um, yeah, man. Let's move off to the big dance now.
All right.
Obviously, so the first four was a pretty big event. Texas outlasted North Carolina State for that number 11 seed. And then you have Miami, Ohio, who proved a lot of their doubters wrong and outlasting SMU 89-79. So that was
Mm-hmm.
good to see as well. For me personally, I'm always going to root for a mid major because the school that I went to, that I graduated from in Quinnipiac University, is a mid majors. Shout out to all the mid majors out there that are still putting on, and a lot of mid majors put on for sure
Mm-hmm.
day one. So Duke Duke got a big scare from Siena, who was
Yes, he
in the same
did.
conference as Quinnipiac. They got a big scare from them, but Duke does end up surviving 71-65. Shout out to Siena, not even because they were able to scare Duke, but also the fact that they played mainly just 5 players the whole game,
The
bro.
whole game. I honestly think that's what lost in the game. I think if they had some fresh legs in there, I think they win that game. I really do.
Same, same. I think that was the thing. I was saying it in my head. I said the hardest thing to do in sports is to close.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have the same 5 guys out there who they gave it their all and they
They
were there
did.
and they were playing, you could tell they were playing based off of just strictly emotion and adrenaline and confidence. But it was a sequence where Siena had missed a dunk, and then
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Evans had got the rebound, weaved through the Siena defense, and then dunked it. And then I said, yeah, this whole thing
That's
has
it's
officially
over.
changed.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
officially changed from there. And Duke was still down around, I want to say around like 8, 9 points, but you
Mm-hmm.
could just
Mm-hmm.
feel it at that time.
The momentum
But yeah,
shifted for real.
yeah. Yeah, the biggest thing for me was the fact that, yeah, Siena only played 5 players. The fact that they made Duke switch up their defense from a man and then he went into a 3-2, and then to
Yeah.
a 2-3, and then the fact that they had Duke scrambling to figure out what defense to play showed me everything that I need to know about Siena and how
Yeah.
well Siena prepped for this game.
Absolutely. To see Duke go into that 3-2, I was like, oh, I was like, okay. So I was like, this is they need to figure out how to stop him, and I love it. I love to see that. And then to
Yeah,
switch
yeah,
back into the 2-3 just to try and, switch it up like right after. I love seeing teams that are able to switch from a 3-2 to a 2-3 and then go to man if need be, like, so seamlessly. And I thought Duke really did do that, like actually like relatively okay. They were able to get
yeah,
stops when they needed to.
yeah, yeah. To be able to, I don't think people understand, to be able the discipline that you have to switch zones like that, especially that quickly, it's
Yeah.
very, very hard to do because you have to understand the zone that you're protecting. You also have to understand where everybody is, where the shooter is. Sienna had this one shooter and he was just on.
Yeah.
And credits to Sienna because they understood that he was on and they kept finding him.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I, as much, Duke, obviously, yes, they move on and everything, but I will champion Sienna for just being there and making Duke work for it and making Duke understand that this is not going to be easy.
It definitely wasn't like, Duke had 8 turnovers, dude. Like that ain't all that great for real.
Yeah, no, and they were in most of those turnovers were unexplained turnovers too.
Unexplained, unforced for real. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the Saints. Congrats to them. Congrats on how they were able on how their coaching staff, how the players were able to prep for this game.
Mhm.
High Point upsets Wisconsin 83 to 82. That was a
Boy, that was a tough game, man. That was interesting to watch, to like, just to see how it all played out. High Point did their thing. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Get
yeah,
Wisconsin
man.
out of here, dog. We don't rep Wisconsin.
We don't know nothing about no Badgers.
Come on now. I only know one player from Wisconsin. That's Frank Kaminsky.
Okay,
That's it.
that was 12 years ago, Kyle.
Exactly. Yo.
That was 12 years ago. Um, High Point was one of the teams that this matchup right here was one of the matchups that I had struggle picking because I did see High Point in their conference championship and they
Mm,
looked really good. So when I seen them get the draw against Wisconsin, I was I was struggling because Wisconsin was playing well all season.
mm,
The only team other than Purdue to beat Michigan in the Big Ten
mm.
and they had a good amount of other wins, but High Point just stayed in there and they just kept it going. Cameron Fletcher, their wing player, he's one of those ones for real. He's really good. I forgot the name of their other shooter. They had a shooter literally as soon as he crossed half court, he literally just threw the ball up there, quick
Martin,
release, and
R.
he still
Martin.
was it him?
He went 4 for 10 from three. And then
Martin?
this other kid, C. Johnston, he went four for
It might have been
six.
Johnston.
He went
Yeah,
four
it
for
might have been
six from
Johnston.
three. Yeah.
Yeah,
Off the
yeah, it was
bench,
Johnston.
14 points.
I, I think Martin is their point guard.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, then it was more than likely Johnston. But yeah, no, they High Point. They just kept the game close, and when you keep the game close like that, you really never know who's gonna win at that point.
Honestly, yo, and just to see, I think the most telling stat in these games, especially in these big games, is turnovers. High Point only had 6 turnovers, and Wisconsin had 10. That tells me a lot of what I need to know. It tells me a whole
Sure,
lot.
turnovers for me is turnovers and second chance points as well.
Second chance points. Yeah. Yeah.
Crash on the boards is very very important.
Yup. Yup.
Those extra possessions, the extra
It's,
possessions, they add up for real.
and you're absolutely right, because High Point had 13 of them. 13 offensive rebounds. So that tells you that tells you they was getting them second chance points like crazy.
Yep, yep. Another upset, Texas upset in BYU. Even though AJ DeBonta had 35 points and 10 rebounds, BYU still not able to do enough. And it's
No.
been like that basically since they lost their third star and Richie Saunders. So
Yeah, that team. This was a struggle for me to pick, just because I had faith in BYU. I thought maybe they would be able to hit their 3 pointers a little bit better. I thought maybe but it just looked like from the beginning of the game, like, it was let AJ get his, and we gonna stop everybody else. and I thought that the offense just looked really stagnant because of that. You know, it was for a lot of possessions, it was just AJ having the ball, not even giving up the ball. You know, once he crossed half court. And so you can't
Right.
I don't you can't win a game like that. You got to involve everybody else. They went 4 for 22 from three.
Ugh,
4 for 22,
ugh,
18.2%.
that's
Cameron, that's come on. They were literally about to go 0 from 8 in the first half, and then they hit one with like within like a minute to go. They hit one,
oh.
and I was like, I was like, that's terrible.
They hit that relief three.
Literally, that's all it was. The homeboy was in the corner. The shot clock was going down.
One thing I did see Texas do, and something that I've seen a lot of teams do, especially like I say when Richie Saunders went down, was the fact that basically as soon as AJ got over half court and he had the ball, they were coming to double him,
Oh yeah, yeah,
force force him to give the ball up and make somebody else do it.
yep.
And that's what, and I think that was the thing that made me, because even though I picked BYU to at least get to the next round, I knew that
Hmm.
I didn't think that they would have enough for the second round. But the thing that made me at least pick BYU was the fact that, all right, I was thinking at least like the guys are gonna, if the guys are able to hit their shots, then BYU can keep going. But clearly not able to hit the shots. And Texas they were making great plays out there.
They really were. They really were. It just felt like nobody else was able to facilitate no offense, and that was really a big not a turning point, but a big crutch in their game. Their center dude, I don't even know how to pronounce his name for Texas, but he was eating. He was eating.
Yeah, he was body. He was,
Vocatitis. Vocatitis, if that's how you say it. Sorry, brother. But he was eating down low in that paint, bro. Like obviously he was the tallest player on the court. So he was using his size advantage very, very well. He had 23 points, man, and 16 boards.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He had 23
And
and
that's crazy to
16. The team
and that's
had
crazy to believe
24
because then you have
defensive rebounds.
that's crazy to believe because BYU's big man, Cade is pretty big too
Mm.
for BYU, and he only had 4 boards.
4 boards. He shot one
So
time. Like, come on, man. That
yeah,
doesn't win
yeah,
you
not
games.
not not good enough. And then what's it called? No bench points
Anybody.
from BYU.
Just 18 minutes, no points, no
No help.
shots. You miss 2 free throws. That can't happen. That can't happen.
Mm-mm. But yeah, they up out of here, and Texas moves on. Texas A&M with a pretty good upset over St. Mary. St.
Yeah.
Also were playing they were playing without one of their star players for most of the game too. So
Hmm.
th- that kind of explains everything. But shout out to Texas A&M for the big win, and they
Yeah.
move
Big
on
upset.
as well as they will now get to see Houston.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
That'll be
the
good.
the big the big one that everybody's talking about, yeah. But the big one that everyone's talking about is VCU rallying back from 19 down and being able to win in overtime against UNC. They held North Carolina to just 3 points in overtime. And North Carolina went 0-6 from the field in overtime.
Oh, couldn't get bored. Couldn't score when it mattered. That's just a sign. That's just what
Mm-mm.
happened. Realistically, you can't. There's nothing else right there, man. They clamped down when he needed to clamp down, and got the Tar Heels up out of there, which is man. I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I love me. I love watching the Tar Heels, and I love making I love seeing them go. Especially past the first round. So.
Yeah, it's not looking too good right now for Coach Hubert Davis and his in these 5 seasons. In 2022, they were the national runner-up.
Mm,
In 2023, they missed the tournament. 2024, they lost in the Sweet 16 and they were a number 1 seed. And then these last 2 years, they lost in the first round.
yeah, this team, this organization is not what it used to be whatsoever. They can't win, Cam. They can't win.
Yeah, and I can't even explain what it
It's
is either.
sad to
They got
see.
they
It
got
really
everything
is.
they got everything they needed, right? They had one of the most expensive rosters in the country. They got a GM. They got a great coaching staff full of former North Carolina players and then former coaches from other places. So it's like, what are we missing when we get to this point of the season when you everybody has to be all hands on deck? What is going on here? Even without Caleb Wilson, they should still be able to at least get out
Yeah,
of the first round, right?
yeah, easily, easily.
And then now you have all types of North Carolina fans left and right calling for Hubert Davis' job.
I'm not. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna disagree with him. I'm really not.
It's one of those things I didn't even want to touch it, but then just reading off that resume of what's been happening in the postseason these last, 5 seasons. How do you defend that?
You can't. You can't. I can't. I really can't.
And then to think you were up by 19, bro, with 6 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, you can't. That's a that's like the water coming through the cracks of the boat for real. Like that's sinking ship.
Yeah,
And 19 with 6 minutes to go. That should have been an easy closeout, bro.
you would think so. You would think so.
But no lead is safe. We do know that, at least in life, no lead is safe.
Oh, big time. There have been multiple leads today that dwindled down.
Yes, yes, yes.
Shoot, the first game told us that between TCU and Ohio State.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did, man. For a little bit of that, I was like, "Oh man, this ain't looking good." And then they just start chipping one possession at a time. That's all it takes. One possession at a time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's all it takes, like you said. Um, before we get up out of here, so before I wanted to ask you beforehand, who did you have going to the who did you have in your last four, and who did you have as mainly like a favorite for you to win it all?
So my last four, I this is really tough actually because I was stuck between Duke and St. John's in the East. But I'm gonna take Duke, even though a lot of their players are injured. But I got faith in Cam and I got faith in Caden, dog. I really do. And that entire squad, I should say. So I'm gonna take Duke. I got Florida coming out. I think that they're just, I think Florida Houston will be, relatively a good one, or even like maybe Florida Illinois. But I'm gonna take
Mhm.
Florida. Michigan, I got coming out of the West. I don't know. Michigan, Purdue, I could see, either or one of them going, but I'm gonna take Michigan. And then out that Midwest, I'm sorry. Michigan was coming out the Midwest. Out the West, I'm taking Arizona or Purdue. Excuse me, guys. Arizona or Purdue. I was taking either or, but I'm gonna go with Arizona, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I actually ended up taking out of the East. I ended up going with Michigan State.
Mm,
Um, yeah, because
not a
Duke
bad pick,
has
yeah.
been yeah, Duke has been showing me it's tough. It's tough. Duke has the injuries are tough on them right now, and then Michigan State has a strong point guard and Fierce Jr.
Mhm.
I ended up taking Florida. I was stuck between Florida, Houston, and Illinois, but I was like, you want to know what? Let me take Florida. I think they're gonna
I
have
think
something to say,
Can I
and
say
they
one more
definitely
thing?
want
I
to go.
think Nebraska has something to say about it too, for real. I do.
Oh yeah, Nebraska. If
Yeah.
Nebraska can hit their shots, then they can easily make it and go. Michigan, even though that they've been iffy, I think Iowa State. I had Iowa State and some of my other ones going to the last four, and then
Okay.
Arizona. I think Arizona. They're the most complete number one in my opinion. They have everything going on for them right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely wholeheartedly agree with that in that West, because I really don't see nobody touching them for real until like they
No,
get to that Elite Eight, honestly, maybe Final
yeah,
Four.
yeah,
I don't see
yeah.
nobody touching Arizona.
Yeah, no, I'm not confident in anybody else really doing much with them. But we got to get out of here. We will be back next week with more. I hope you all enjoyed. But till then, I'm your host, Cam Silver,
I'm your co-host Kyle Silver.
and this is the Silver Boys.
Thank you.